10 years ago today, exactly a decade, that a proud member of our Navy was deliberately sunk, sent to the bottom of the sea. The former ship HMCS Saskatchewan is now an artificial reef, home to a variety of sea life, visited by thousands of scuba divers every year. Hey, Channel's Jonathan Bartlett's live in our Mid-Island Bureau with more on that. Jonathan.
Hudson, former HMCS Saskatchewan made international news when it was sent to the bottom of the ocean off Nanaimo 10 years ago today. Since then, hundreds of thousands of divers from all over the world have visited the sunken destroyer. Now the ship is getting international acclaim for being the best artificial reef to dive in the world.
This is what 10 years under the ocean does to a Navy destroyer. There's so much sea life clinging to former HMCS Saskatchewan, she hardly looks like a ship.
Every time I dive it, and even if it's only a few weeks apart, there's changes on it. It's amazing.
These images were taken just this morning. The former ship is now home to millions of plants and sea creatures.
The amount of life on the Saskatchewan has turned the Saskatchewan from a wreck into a reef.
You can look at the boat now, and you can see the shape of the boat and the doors and the windows, but yet you can't actually see the steel. It is so covered in these big, huge, flowering plumas and enemies and everything. It's absolutely tremendous.
It's been 10 years to the day since the once proud Canadian Navy ship was deliberately sunk near Snake Island off Nanaimo. Cameras were placed inside the ship. These images drew worldwide attention to the Jacques Cousteau-endorsed Artificial Reef Project. Former HMCS Saskatchewan has received lots of international attention, and now a well-known diving magazine has voted it the best artificial reef in the world.
A recent survey in a U.S. dive magazine called Rodale's has declared the Saskatchewan as the best artificial reef in the world, rated 10 out of 10 by its readership.
Well over 300,000 scuba divers have descended the 40 meters below the surface to dive the artificial reef. Most of the divers come from out of town, a gold mine for tourism in Nanaimo.
These are well-heeled tourists.
Yes, they are, and they know what they want, and they have the money usually, to travel to those places and the equipment to be comfortable when they get here.
And other ships have now joined the Saskatchewan. The former HMCS Cape Breton, sunk in 2001, and the Rivtow Lion, a former North Sea rescue tug, in 2005. All artificial reefs attracting sea life and divers to the waters off Nanaimo.
Former HMCS Saskatchewan and HMCS Cape Breton are placed bow to bow, only about 300 feet from each other, which has apparently sped up the amount of sea life on both ships. And interestingly enough, some dive charters have been asked by the families of sailors who served on the ships to have their ashes spread on the surface and underwater near the ships on which they served.
Hard to believe it's been a decade already.
Seems like yesterday.
Jonathan, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, today was